Hello, welcome to Cornerstones English. I'm Amanda Brown, and I'm your student's English teacher. This is my 17th year at Wellesley High School. I've been teaching a lot longer than that in several different places. I'm also the parent of three kiddos, one of whom is a sophomore in high school. So I know where you are in terms of kids and their development and parenting. I'm hoping that today we'll learn a little bit about the class, and please feel free to reach out to me. I'll share my contact information at the end with any questions or concerns or celebrations. I love to hear when good things are happening in your kids' lives. So here's a slide that shows what your students see when they walk in the room each day. We have reminders. I'm here to remind you today that your kids are fantastic. And when I asked them what they wanted me to share, that was it. They wanted me to say, tell them we're great. And they are. So we start with a warm up, which is usually a game, some kind of community building activity. Then we move into whatever we're engaging in that day, whether it's reading or writing, independent work, conferencing. And then finally, whatever it is they're going to share at the end of class to show their learning. We always have our objective down at the bottom. And again, the objective of this video is to tell you a little bit about Cornerstones English. So why are your kids fantastic? Here is one of the reasons. Early in the year, we did a values activity as a way of creating a class kind of contract and agreement about how we wanted to be with each other in our space this year. And when I asked them what they valued, these were the values that bubbled up to the top. I love this list. I think this says so much about who's in the room and why it's such a great group. So then we talked about what we needed as a community in order for there to be space for all of these things. And here were the expectations that we agreed upon. It's always possible for students, if they're having a bad day, if they're having a bad moment, to take a break in the Cornerstones room next door. We always have a TA in the room, and Lauren's available for kids when they need her. This year, we have a phone-free space, which has been terrific for engagement. Here's what a typical cycle looks like in English. So days 1 and 4 and 7, we're engaged in whatever reading and writing activity we're working on. So right now, we're working on a piece called 10 Things I Know, and it's based on a mentor text that we've read together and explored. So those are what those days we'll spend working on writing at the moment. Maybe in a couple of weeks it will be reading that we're working on those days. Day 2 is always a catch-up conference day, and if students are all caught up with their work, they can read their Dear book. Day 5 is devoted to independent reading, what we call Dear, drop everything and read time. Currently, students are working on reading the book of their choice, and choice is actually a really important part of Dear time, and I'll say more about that in a minute. The homework for Cornerstones is always 3 15-minute Membean sessions. Membean is our vocabulary growing program. And one of those sessions happens in class, and the other 2 students are responsible for outside of class. So how and why do we do what we do in English? So English is all about meeting kids where they are in terms of their skills and helping them advance, whatever that means for them. We're focused on reading, writing, speaking, and listening in class. And here are sort of the 4 big ways we're getting at those skills. So the first is Membean. Membean's an online vocabulary program that is individualized. Students take an assessment early in the year, and the program grows with them over the course of the year. It is based in research about learning vocab in particular, and I've seen tremendous growth when students put in those 3 15-minute sessions. That's all it takes. Dear is drop everything and read time. It's really important for me to build in Cornerstones a community of readers and writers. As a teacher, a parent, and a reader myself, I want students to become lifelong readers. Independent reading leads to an increased volume of reading. The more one reads, the better one reads. So they're vocabulary knowledge increases, their fluency increases, their comprehension increases, and their reading stamina increases. All of these things help them tackle the more complex texts that they're going to encounter as they continue on in their education and the world. It's also really important to me that this time is focused around books that students choose. Um, we know that students need both mirrors, so books that show them themselves, that are about people who share their experiences. And it's really important to offer them windows, so windows into other perspectives. And student choice is a powerful way for students to access both of these things. In writing this year, we're going to focus on essays modeled after essays written by living writers. So, for example, the first writing piece we're doing, 10 Things I Know, is based on a mentor text by Mari Andrew called 100 Things I Know. We've studied this text as readers, we've studied this text as writers, and we're now creating our own versions based on what we've learned from that writer. We're going to continue to do this throughout the year. Reading, we have kind of three different ways we're going to get at our reading skills beyond reading these essays as writers. Common Lit is an online program, again, which allows for differentiation, so I can assign students things that target the skills they need to work on. It's also helping me group together kids in smaller groups for book clubs. ListenWise is another online platform. It builds student listening skills, which helps build their comprehension skills through podcasts. And we're doing those mostly as a class rather than individually. And then finally, using the diagnostic information from Common Lit, I'm going to create some small leveled book clubs to do some community reads, short stories, short novels, to give kids the experience of reading communally, talking about the book, responding to the book. So that's what we do. So assessments and grades. When I assess students, I'm always giving them an opportunity to improve through feedback in these areas. So rarely will a student hand something in and be finished with it completely. Usually they're handing something in, I'm giving them feedback, they're going back, they're working on it using my feedback, and then they're handing it in again. So reflection's a really important part of learning. As is the approach to learning, which is something we talk about all the time, we work on in class, but isn't graded. So that's preparation, engagement, collaboration, and commitment to our community. Please reach out anytime with questions, concerns, again, or celebrations. I'm really pleased to be spending the year with your students. I'm looking forward to a terrific year and to partnering with you to best support your students as they grow this year. Thanks so much. Be well. Bye-bye.